Everybody log into inspeXtor trainee if your laptop, if it's on already. Yeah, inspeXtor trainee is where you want to be. The objective of this lab is actually, we connected the lights. We're going to actually now talk to the node and make sure that we put in the right cluster, the right station. We're going to turn on some lights and put them in a different policies. That means if this was a room by itself, we're going to try to turn it on maybe at 8 o'clock in the morning, but we're not going to do that. We're going to just turn it on for a short period of time and turn it off and troubleshoot and make sure that we actually do have a policy involved. Change some of the settings to the scene, to your wall switch controller. First thing first is everybody connects yourself to the inspeXtor trainee Wi-Fi. Now that the job got installed, everybody put the nodes in, they put the fixture in. Now it's time to turn the lights on and off. We have a server, we have the inspeXtor. I'm walking to the job now, and I want to commission these lights into wherever they're going to go. We're going to open the browser, and then we need to find where does the inspeXtor land. So how do I know that? How do I know where this thing actually, what's the IP address? IP address. So I need to find out what IP address this inspeXtor was on. If there's a router in the building, you probably connect yourself to the same router, find out what that IP address. That might be a lengthy process to teach in here, but I suggest going back a little bit to your routers at home or something and just find out what every piece is connected to. Go ahead.
Don't know if you know the answer to this question. So, like,
I'll try.
Let's say building 9 of your village job.
Yep.
Where's the inspector supposed to sit?
In the closet, IT closet. There's an electrical closet, I was just told. There's 3 per build, 3 inspectors, 1 for each building, because I was told that every building has a different network. So you need 1 inspector per network. Just like your house. Every person needs a router, even though you might be on 2 different floors, but you need your own router. Okay, we're all inside the system. Step number 6 is we're going to go to cluster tab. And this is where we're actually going to move nodes from one room to another. We're going to find all our nodes based on your station. So go to cluster tab, which is, if you hover over your mouse to the left, you'll be able to see a tab that says cluster. So once we do that, all your nodes have serial numbers printed on them. So look for your station, look for your serial number. It's printed on the actual device. You need to find that number inside AK station. So drop down the folder that says AK station. And to drop it down, you click on the left arrow. Yes. Find your node, which is the serial number printed on the actual side of the node. Sorry. Every node right here would print the serial numbers. The guys that are doing it, it's right here. That's the number you should be looking for. Click on the actual node, drag it and drop it into your station number. So all 4 stations got commissioned their lights. Basically what they did, I'm just going to turn the lights on. What they did is they took their node, made individual rooms, and took their node, put it inside that room. Now if you notice that any of you can click on their wall switch, and only their station would actually function, because they're now in separate rooms. Try to press the off if you want. And if you notice now, they're individually, because in 4 individual rooms. So you're not going to have that full effect. That's what I was talking about in the beginning. When you actually commission a site, they're all going to be in the same room. And I find that a lot, that when first time happens, somebody goes and press the off button thinking that they're going to shut down the room. They shut down the entire building. And there's nothing we can do about it because we don't know where these things plugged into. Part 8. So let's go to support page. And what we're going to do is step number 2. Step number 1, we put these things inside a room. Step number 2 is we need to identify and upload the pull schedule that we took from a contractor. We were told that that's where the actual node is. So go to support page, hover over to the left. It should say support on it.
I don't see it.
Scroll down. Just with 2 fingers, scroll down like this. Yeah, either up or down. I don't know. Let's see. Like this. Right there. There's a few pages. So Then you're going to go to node reboot. Click on node reboot. Some of you already know that this is touch screen, so you don't have to use the mouse. You can physically touch the screen. Select your specific station. So you don't have to look for it because you already dragged it into that station. Under manage node where it says all, change that to cluster and then move to your station. You'll be able to find your node in there. Under the edit button, if you click on that, you'll be able to edit or modify the pull schedule. So that's actually, bless you, that's actually important. So when you click on the edit button, which is on the corner of your light, so right here, that's the edit on the corner. Yep. Okay, all of you guys see that. You need to know the IP address where this is connected to, of the switch, which port is connected to, and which slot is connected to. Slot number is always 1, so you don't have to worry about that. But you need to know what IP address this switch is, because you might have 40 of them in the case of Pear Village. And you need to know what port your node got connected to. For today, we already did that. Your node is connected to exactly that port. And we could take a test and unplug one of them. You'll be able to see that your node gets unplugged. But if you have to edit it, you can change the number right there and then, and hit save, and it will be able to save it. Unfortunately, there's no automatic input, so you have to physically upload every one of them today. We're working on the automatic version, which is on the top right. By the time you install Millville or maybe Building 11, you'll be able to do that. Automatically, the system would identify where every port is connected. But today is only 99% accurate, so we don't want to take the chance. So you have to do it. Yeah, so in their screen, they're able to see the serial number. They click on that serial number and do edit. Now, the software has a correlation between this serial number and where is it connected to. And it puts the 2 and 2 together and it prints it in one line. So if you guys all cancel, you'll see the line item for your station, and it tells you your serial number is on the left, the Cisco switch IP is next to it. I'm sorry, the node IP address is next to it. Cisco switch IP is after where the actual port is connected to. There's a bounce button, which is like a reboot button. You can remotely reboot the nodes. And then there's a last active to the right. That's a timestamp that tells you when is the last time this node was active. And you guys all should have the same amount of, about 3-minute delay between the time that it's connected. So what we did is took the node, put it into the right room, identify where it lands. That's pretty much it as far as commissioning the node itself. What we're going to do next is we're actually going to assign the wattage. What we've talked about in the past is every node comes out with only 10 watt per driver. So I only have 10 watt output. I put these on, maybe I have 3 downlights, 4 downlights. I need to make one driver to become 40 watt, 10 watt, 20 watt. Step number 9 asks us for 20 watt per driver 1 and 9 watt for driver 2. So we're going to go to support, node settings. We're going to click on our node. So everybody clicks on their station and then their node. You're good. You're good. And your station 3. Just drop down, click on your node. On the right-hand side, you can move the driver 1 max slider into the percentage that's given for you. So 20 watt for driver 1. And it's active on the let go. So when you let the mouse go, it actually displays the number right underneath it. Then you hit apply. Apply would actually apply it. So you can move it, but unless you hit apply, it won't activate. Now, it takes 3 minutes by the time you get that information back. Why? Because we push this information to the node. It's immediately active, but in order for you to see it back, that node has to send the status back. We don't send the status every time. We send the status every 3 minutes, 5 minutes. So the software will refresh every 5 minutes or 3 minutes for you. But immediately when you press apply, it's actually active. So some of you can try to turn their lights on. As you can see, his lights is they're all in the same brightness. Before, if you notice, They had their lights, 2 were in one wattage and the other one were in different. Now you can see everything is pretty distributed. How so? We took 20 watt out of one driver, we split it into 2, and these are 10 watt each or 9 watt each, and then we took the second driver and went to driver 2. If you do anything different, just be careful when you're commissioning. Don't move that slider all the way to 40 and have one single downlight, because what's going to happen is either you're going to shut it off or you're actually going to burn it. So you might shut off because of the switch, or you might actually burn because you might see 40 watt worth of power. It's under your control. You're the one deciding that you want 40 watt out of driver 1, and you might be able to push that wattage into two downlights or maybe a single downlight. The software only stops at 48. The maximum slider stops you at 48. Good one though. It doesn't know whether you want 48 or 10. It's up to you. You're the one making that move. We don't make so there's an option that when you move it, it's not applying it. You're taking the second step and moving from the slide in to actually applying. So it's a 2-step process for that reason, because we don't want every time you move that slider, it's actually doing it.
And it's better there's a slider, so you don't have you can't lose typage.
Exactly. You move the slider to the proper position, and it has a maximum position, so it only stops at 48. It won't let you go past that anyway. Oh, good question. All right, let me say that out loud. The question was, how come in the software I have 3 lights, and the software, if you guys on the node settings screen, scroll down a little bit on the bottom right, it shows you driver 1 and driver 2. Scroll down. Yes, because you split it. Someone said it? Very good. You can't see anything after the splitter. So if you had 3 lights, 2 lights, 1 light, doesn't matter. There's no intelligence. Go ahead.
So when you're going from a battery, you have to split off the battery. You're not going to be able to read that there's 3 lights off the battery. You'll only read 1.
It's going to count as 1, because anything after the splitter is only recognized as 1. In the software, it knows to deliver power to all of them. It knows to control all of them. But visually, there's no mechanism for us to understand how many lights you're actually plugged in, because it gets done in the field.
The wattage at 20 and then for 15 knowing it's going to multiply at 3.
Yes, because you connect.
Yeah, you do it at 3.
Yeah, if you do 20, it's going to do 10 and 10, because if you plug only 2 lights out, it will distribute the power. And one of the requirements was make sure that, for that case, there's 3 lights. For your case, there's 3 lights. I was talking about this case. It doesn't matter what you plug here after. What matters is they have to be the same watt. If they're not from the same watt, they will actually turn off. And yes, if you give it 30 and you have 2 15 watts, it'll automatically give 15 watt each. And some of you already did this, but go to mobile control or mobile settings and select your station. If you select your station, you can turn it on and off. So select from all to your cluster. What happens to his light? Shuts off. I think, what's your power on every driver? Is it 20 and 1 and 10? Go to support. So we'll scroll down to support. Node settings. And your station 3. And we have 36 watt each driver. So we have a 20 watt or a 9 watt downlight, and we push in 36 watt out of it. You try to turn it on, that's what happens. Port shuts you off, it looks like you have a strobe light. So if we move that to 20 and you move the second one to 10, you'll be able to be in the same category. So I'm going to try your station if you don't mind. So I'm under station 4. And then we're going to shut the lights off. So mobile control is meant for really a mobile or a tablet. It shows like this. If you do it on a desktop, it shows like that. But
Is it an app or are you just on the browser?
I was on the browser. Browser, same step they did, logged in with their username and password, and I was able to.
Turning off the lights in the building night? Yeah. That's nice.
Only if I had user control.
Oh, okay.
So if I knew her password.
I'll be home like, nipping out.
So the step number 12 was actually meant if you do step 11. So we need, it doesn't matter now, just go to step 12, you'll be able to see what happens. And the power display, we want to check the wattage for your actual light. So if you know where your node is connected, we're going to look at the switch. We're going to go to hardware settings, we're going to change scene number 1. So the point of their exercise right now is they're going to use this button. We have no idea right now what it does, whatever level it does. But what they're going to do is they're actually going to change their particular station to a specific percentage for a specific amount of time, and we want to be able to see it and demonstrate it. You're going to press it, it's going to last for a minute or two, and it's going to shut off, I think, depending on which station you're sitting in. So this screen allows you to change all these 3 buttons to do whatever you want, for how long you want, and whatever dim level you would like. Before anybody clicks lock settings, let me just verify it so you don't lock settings for everybody and we just have to go back and do it. You're okay, scene 1 buttons, that's okay. And that's I think what it wants you to do is 0 for 2 minutes and then goes to 50%. So 0 to 50. Yours says same, 0. What dim level you want the light to, when you press the button, it's going to go to 0. How long you want it to last? 2 minutes. So move that to 2. If you move the arrow this way,
it goes 1.
it goes 1, yeah. And then the other one is 50. Oh, it's pretty far. So. And you can see everything is editable. So whatever they're doing, and whatever you put, whatever policy you put, and you decide, oh, I made the wrong room and I did it the wrong way, you just come back, you change the settings, and you're good. When you refresh your screen, you'll be able to find out the time that you did it, the user that did it. So you can see that I did it, or station, or the user so-and-so did it at a particular time. So you can't change, nobody touched it, they all turned on, they all turned back off to 50%. And that's the policy we did. Now we're going to go to 14. We're going to create a policy. Now we talked about the hardware. I moved this thing, I changed the settings for the wall switch. So I could walk out the building and the lights are okay, because somebody pressed on, the lights will turn on. Press off, they're going to turn off. I configured their scenes depending on what the client wants. We only have to go one more step, which is if the client, and if I'm doing a commissioning in a site where the client is asking you to, I want the lights, I don't want to touch the wall switch, I don't want to touch the sensor. I want my light to do X, Y, Z from 8 o'clock to 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock to whatever time zone they want or whatever time frame they want. And that's what they're doing. Each and every one of them would have to create a policy that turns the light on for a certain amount of time and then it shuts it off. The trick is you have to verify that your PC time is exactly what your policy is going to be. Your PC time is where this is picked up from. Underneath. Yeah, I'm sorry, the screen resolution might not show you, but if you scroll down, there's a save, edit, and remove. Yeah. Most of these screens don't show it yet. So you got to fill the blank, and then before you hit save, let me just take a look at your time. Or just pay attention to your start time. It has to be, let's do 2 minutes is fine. I'm sorry, let's do 4 minutes because step number 15 depends on how fast you go. Otherwise, you won't execute. Do it 4 minutes after your PC time. So there's 3 aspects to a policy. There's what do I want the light to go on, at what level, how much light do I want, how long do I want it to, and what happens after. After it finishes, what does the light do? Does it stay at the same level? Does it move? You can specify that. So there's only 3 things that you specify, as well as your time stamp. Today's date. Oh, you did it?
I did it already.
Refresh. You picked every day. That's okay. Save. You did it? Say refresh. When you refresh, you can click on your policy and then it'll tell you what actually you typed in. And I get this a lot. I created a policy and it doesn't turn on. We never merged it. The guy sitting on a computer and girl, you did not merge anything. You only made a rule. You didn't put it in any station. And I get that question a lot. I'm creating policies, but they're not happening. The light's not shutting off. The light's not turning on. You need to go to a different screen called merge policy and actually pick your room or pick your station and merge it. So merge policy is the next screen. Step number 15 is the last one. So you click on your station, you click on the room. You're applying it to the room, correct?
Which one?
Your station 1. So your
Okay.
station 1 is the room. Yep.
Okay.
And then you pick your station 1 is the policy. You're picking where is it going to, and then you hit link, and then it'll take a block and puts it in the shelf.
That's it.
Perfect. You're done. You're good. Okay, but the idea of the exercise is now that I took a single policy, I applied it into a room. And that's, as difficult as this sounds, think about what we're doing right now. We took a bunch of lights, put them in all different rooms, assigned a time clock into them. In a matter of 5-10 minutes, yours kicked in.
There you go.
So think about what we're doing. We establish a policy, and a client calls and says, it kicks in at 8 o'clock. I don't want it that way. Change it to 8:30. All we're doing is going back to that policy, change the start time, and done. You're set for 2 minutes, and then turned on.
It's already merged, so you don't have to do anything else. Just
Once you merge it once, you don't have to do it again. You just go to that particular policy, make the changes, and it automatically knows that you already merged it before. If I have a room and it has 1,000 lights, does it care? No. It'll turn every single one of them on. How many policies can I have per room? I can have as many as I want as long as they don't overlap. You can't have a policy that starts at 8 and finishes at 12 and another one starts at 9. The system won't let you do that. It'll identify the time conflict and it'll tell you that you can't put two things in the same timeline. So you think about it as a 24 hours and you run your 24 hours accordingly. What happens after midnight? All the policy creations are done based on a day. What happens when the midnight clicks? You have to do a policy for the next day. That's another thing that I also get the question. My light only stays on until midnight.
Didn't turn on.
The midnight portion is important also. A lot of times we forget that the policy that you're creating is for that particular day itself. So we did something today for Friday. You think about 24 hours, you want it to last until tomorrow afternoon. That can't happen. It will only last until Friday midnight and then it will stop. So you have to do it Saturday morning or Saturday midnight downstream. That's where we get the challenge.
7 days a week of policy?
No, there's a button that says select all and it lets you select every day of the week.
there you go. Yeah, that's what I-
Or you can select weekends and that's it.
Repeat the same policy for
Part of the selection is Monday, Tuesday, Friday. If you select all, it will select all of them. You can unselect and select as many as you want.
That's good something,
Yeah. What happens, some of the other stuff is, can I create, what we all did is a policy that only worked for a specific time frame. Can I make a policy that's later on in time, like a Labor Day weekend or Memorial Day? If I know what day that is, one of the options was a drop down that lets you select the date. You can have a policy that kicks in at a specific date that you want. So you can have a Memorial Day policy. You know that your office is not occupied. I just throw a Memorial Day policy today, and the next Memorial Day it happens, it'll actually figure it out.